Last week, surprise, surprise, I was concerned that our build was slowing down. Most of my concerns were leveled at the fiberglass department. We also discovered that many of Meraaai's side supports were bent and buckled when the old side panels were removed, and Smoke and John has a big task ahead of him to straighten everything. Our 32-inch TV found a home above the driver's compartment, and East Coast Scratch and Dents guys were treated to a calorie-laden breakfast. This week the weather causes mayhem as never experienced before, as a deadly deluge pounds the east coast of South Africa. As a result, things slowed right down at East Coast Scratch and Dent. However, we still have so much to share with you in episode 76 of A Dream Called Meraaai, as we stagger towards the finishing line of our 17-month build. It is the second week in April. Time is ticking by. Down here on the south coast of KZN, we have got extreme weather. In fact, we've got an orange warning for really heavy rain. And it's bucketing down at the rate of about 10 to 15 mils per hour, and it's been going like this for 2 days, and they expect for another 2 days. What that is doing is playing havoc with Andre, who needs low humidity in order to pump this foam and shape it. He says the humidity turns it into like a goo and he can't work with it. So yeah, the rain is a bit of a mission, and as soon as it's stopped, then hopefully he could climb in and carry on with that. Little did I realize that things were going to be getting pretty hairy in the next 24 hours. I continued with my filming, oblivious as to what was brewing. Smoke and John was wrapping up the prep work on the window frames. You can see behind me the light strips in all the windows, and that's to make that broad gap so the guys from center windows, when they bring their beautiful glass down, they can attach it all properly. Now, but before that can happen, we have to put all these side panels on, and John has nearly completed all the straightening work on all the steel. It's been a mammoth task. Smoke and John has welded some steel bars horizontally against Meraaai's side. These pieces of steel are here, just they tacked into place. It's almost a reference so that John has been able to see, that all the gaps get closed up. And if I look at it now, those gaps are closed, man. This is now flush and tight. In order to bend the steel, Smoke and John has made incisions at various intervals. These will be welded closed once everything is in a straight line. Now those steel bars on the side will be removed once Smoke and John has finished welding closed all these other little gaps. And that's his next job. So when this is done, this comes off. I left East Coast Scratch and Dent and headed home. That night we had heavy rain, but nothing that we had not been through before in our area. The next day would end up being a day that would go down in the history books. It is Tuesday morning, and I've just come into East Coast Scratch and Dent. Very quiet at Meraaai, and I don't blame the guys for not being here. It is still bucketing. We have had over 300 millimeters of rain since Friday night. I headed towards my home, which is about 3 kilometers away. I crossed a small stream that runs close to our property, and it was starting to get pretty noisy. Then the heavens opened, and I rushed home. The rain is now really coming down like I haven't seen here ever. It's actually quite scary. We've had about 20 mils in the last half hour now, and it's actually coming this way. It's going straight into the window. The animals in the Lennon van der Walt household were curled up against the elements that raged outside, except Bellissimo. He watched the rain. Then the storm bit down really hard. Our power is now down, so I'm busy running off a Jenny. I've got a little 8 kVA Jenny hooked up to my house, so we're able to keep shop open. I then did what any abnormal person would have done. I climbed into my car and headed out to see what the situation was in our village. The gravel roads were turning into rivers. Soon they would be washed away. We do not have a drainage system like those in the city. Rather, a series of channels that directs water towards the ocean. Those channels were overwhelmed. The small streams were now raging torrents. Still the rain increased in intensity. I found myself erring on the side of caution and headed back home. The road that went over a small stream was now underwater. I hugged the right side of the bridge as I knew the support on the left had been washed away in floods 2 years ago and was never repaired. I just hoped the road was still intact. Lucky for me, it was. A few times I reached roads that were just too risky to navigate. As I made it home, another massive wave of water fell from the heavens. And it's just not stopping. It's keep on coming down. It's like getting stronger and stronger. Just been for a drive around. And most of the roads in our little village of Leisure Bay, the sand roads are badly washed away. Some of them, there's no ways I was even going to attempt to go through. But yeah, it's not letting up. It was round about now that I decided to call Noah. Not Trevor, but the guy with the big boat. There was only one problem. We had no communication at all. South Africa's two largest cell service providers had lost hundreds of towers. We were on our own. I thought I better just pop over to East Coast Scratch and Dent and make sure everything is okay there. There have been reports of people trapped in their houses now in our area from flooding, and they're requesting help from the fire department. I don't even know if the fire department can get through here. I mean, it's crazy. The streets were deserted. It seemed like I was the only idiot driving around. Things were pretty quiet and gloomy at the workshop. Well, everything seems okay here, but it's pretty quiet. A lot of the guys didn't come to work. Bram is here and Andre is here. But yeah, power's out. I was sure by now that Mariki and my doggies would probably be worrying about me. We've got a bit of a lull in the storm. You know, it's still raining, but it's not that driving rain. But you know, and social media is also flooded with inaccurate reporting. I mean, the route I've just driven, guys are saying it's impossible, flooding on the main highway over tire level. It's not like that, you know. So, and it stops people who might need to go and help other people in trouble from getting there because they think the road's closed when it's not. So I wish people would just use social media responsibly. The lull did not last long. And then it all picks up again. It's like you have this little lull and then the rain just comes down again. The next day, Meraai cut a lonely figure in a muted, dark workshop. It is the morning after the day before. The day before being the day that KwaZulu-Natal, particularly the East Coast, had some of the heaviest rain ever recorded in the history of the province. Here at East Coast Scratch and Dent, things are very quiet. Bram was just telling me, so the Oaks just haven't pitched to work. Out of 11 guys, 4 have arrived, and so everything is behind. Oh, and I forgot to mention, we have no power. East Coast Scratch and Dent was like a mausoleum. Wires hung like intestines in a carcass. There was nothing one could do. We had to wait for Mother Nature to complete her tirade. We had over 479 millimeters in a 7-day period. Around 400 millimeters of that fell within a 24-hour period. The strangest thing has happened. I mean, look at that. There's this bright thing in the sky. And there's all this blue stuff around. No grayness and it's dry. It was dry enough for Resin Man to finally get back to working on our dashboard template. For the first time, I was able to see the process of the foam being made. Once it had dried, Andre was able to start shaping it into the mold for the dash. My spirits were lifted even higher when I arrived at Meraai. Thought you got washed away. Bram and Smoke and John were busy making the holes for our shower mixer in our ablutions.
steps going in.
So Bram worked up a good sweat making these holes in here for our tap. And obviously these walls are going to be covered with that white PVC sheeting and everything will be sealed up nicely. But this is going to look very, very lacquer, and we've got a lot of space still for the loo and space for a little hand basin that we can put on the side here. The engine, however, was very quiet. Apparently we are waiting for a few seals before we can fire her up again and start thinking about installing her back into Meraai, which will be a momentous occasion and a step towards Meraai being a normal, sexy motorhome. I'll tell you what's not back to normal is the situation down in Durban. And I found it quite interesting that our president went there and he sort of said, no, it's from climate change. It's not from climate change, it's from bad management. It's from all the litter, all the drains being blocked. There is no drainage there. It happened in 2019, it happened again, and it's going to happen again until people start fixing the municipality. That is what happened in Durban, and lives were lost as a result. The eThekwini municipality is broken, and it is no secret that it is broken. For years, environmental journalists have been writing about the Durban disaster that is waiting to happen. For years, no one has cared or paid attention. The rising death toll of these rains paints a grim picture. The government has declared parts of KZN a disaster area. That means millions of rands can be released to help those in this hour of need. The cynic in me says that means millions of rands can be released for our fat cat politicians to line their pockets with, as they did in this very same province with funds meant to fight COVID. It's been a really disruptive week. Just very chuffed to walk in here this morning and everything is going the way it should be going. Good to see John back at work. And he has welded up all the little spots that on the side here. So this is now flush and level. Just got to be neatened up. So yeah, things are looking good and things are moving. Things seem to have stalled a bit on the engine front, but hopefully we can get a bit more on that next week. So that is it for now. We're expecting more rain this weekend, so by the time this gets broadcast, we'll know what has happened. To my mates in Ukraine, you are still in my thoughts. You're always in my thoughts. And yeah, there's just calamity all over the show, and a lot of it not very pleasant. So everybody, please look after yourselves and keep safe. Remember to like us on Facebook and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. You will find us under A Dream Called Meraai. Until next time, keep your dreams alive.